All right. Good evening, healthy runners. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Healthy Runner Podcast. And it's Monday, and we are adding a spark to your Monday night within the Healthy Runner Facebook group because I am here with an amazing guy, Shan Riggs, accomplishing an amazing feat running across America. And he's doing it all for the greater good to help feed our future with Food Share, partnered with Stop and Shop. And Food Share is a Greater Hartford, Connecticut regional food bank. And this is one charity, especially during this time, that is needed now more than ever. Their demand has gone up 30% during the pandemic. So we are going to be getting into what Shan is doing right now as he runs across America. Welcome to the show, Shan.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. This is an amazing journey that you are on. I've been following you on social media. So normally we actually get right into the interview, but I just want to give a little background and context for our audience to kind of find out what you've been doing. And I think it's important that we kind of see where you've been a little bit before we get into this episode. So Shan is a competitive runner. His running resume includes close to 50 ultra marathons, including the Western States 100-mile endurance run, which is the oldest 100-miler in the country. Shan and his crew chief, Callie Vinson, started their journey in San Francisco on
Okay.
September 1st, and Shan is running about 40 miles per day, and he's currently on day 55 and is in his last full day in Iowa right now and looking to finish in Connecticut before Thanksgiving. So he's going to be running through 12 states and 3,100 miles and doing it to raise a lot of awareness for food insecurity along the journey. So in this episode, Shan is going to be telling us why he decided to take on this challenge and some of his stories that he's had along the way running across America. So for those of you who are here on the Facebook live stream right now, please comment live. And for those of you who couldn't make it, just comment hashtag team replay in the comment box so I know you caught the episode. If you have any questions during the live stream, drop your questions for Shan in the comment box. I know I have plenty of questions, so I'm sure you do as well. And we'll get to your questions either on the live or even on the replay. So, Shan, let's get started with our dynamic warm up. This is something that we do with all of our guests. So, you've gotten a little introduction, but tell us, where are you from and what do you do?
Well, originally I grew up on a farm in Indiana, but I lived in Chicago for a long time. Also lived all over the place, San Francisco, San Diego. I lived in this band I'm currently in right now for 9 months, a couple years ago, and then now doing that again. I was the sponsorship director for the Hartford Marathon Foundation until we quit having events this year. I was also a sponsorship consultant for a lot of different organizations, festivals, museums, arts organizations. And since all of my clients were event based, that's on pause for 2020. So you ask, what do I do? Well, I run across America. That is my current occupation. And when I finish, I hope to find a new one. So if anybody's got any leads on that, I'm all ears.
All right. Well, hopefully we can get you some leads before this is all said and done. Yeah. So I would imagine definitely during this time, events are obviously canceled. So yeah, I'm feeling for you and so many people out there just like you. So yeah, hopefully we're going to be able
Yeah,
to help you
reach
out.
out to all your friends in the events industry. So they're struggling. People like myself. I'm not food insecure, but a lot of people that I know are either food insecure or close to it, and that's why Food Share and Feeding America is kind of the center of who we want to support right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So why do you like to run, Shan?
Well, I've been running since high school, I guess, competitively, but didn't really get into the crazy long stuff until I read Gene Carnez's book, Ultra Marathon Man, and thought, that's something maybe I could do that. And so for the past like 15 years, I've been running ultra marathons, 100-milers, 24-hour races, other expedition runs. Nothing quite this far, but we've done things like run across Panama and run the length of Illinois, and ran from Chicago to Indianapolis 200 miles at a time. So done some crazy runs, but this is a whole new level.
Yeah, wow. That is, well, you definitely have run a lot. So how did you become an ultra runner?
Mostly it's just practice. So you just keep going a little bit further every day. And, 5K turns into 10K, turns into half marathon, turns into marathon. And if you do it long enough, pretty soon you're doing some pretty crazy stuff.
Wow, I can't even imagine, honestly. So myself, I am more of a half marathoner. I've run only one Hartford full marathon, but I am more of a half marathoner. So anyone who's running honestly multiple marathons, I think is an amazing, amazing accomplishment. And then being an ultra runner and running more than that, I like kudos to you. I think that is amazing feat, honestly, from physical standpoint, especially being a physical therapist, kind of thinking about the demands on the body. I think it is pretty amazing. And honestly, what you're doing now is even, I just can't honestly even believe it. But let me give a little shout out here. We got a bunch of our friends hopping on Facebook here. So Brian's here on the live. Lisa, so our mutual friend who actually connected us, Lisa Tatum's here on the live. She says, hi, Shan. Kat is here on the
Hi, Lisa.
live. Chris is here on the live. Nivian's here for a few minutes. Thanks, Nivian. Catch the replay. Jean's here on the live. Liz is here. Thanks for tuning in, Liz. And Trisha's here. Thank you so much. And Andrea's here, as well as Josh, as well as Jean says she loves the distance. So kudos to Jean. She actually just finished her first 50K this past weekend.
Fantastic.
So she just ran that around the Hartford area. So I know a place that you know very well in that area. So for us mere mortals who run our 5Ks, our half marathons, and even marathons, what advice can you give for ultra marathon training for beginners if someone was thinking about maybe I should try a little bit more than a marathon?
Yeah, I think, a lot of it's just going out all day and getting used to being upright for the entire day. The running is important, but a lot of it is just getting used to being out there all the time. And the only way to do that is just to be out there all the time. So to train for what I'm doing now, I'd run 10 to 15-ish miles during the work week when I was working. But then during the weekends, it was really just going out all day. And that could be 30 miles, 40 miles. But if you're just getting into it, maybe it's 20 miles, but you just take all day and you try to be upright and walk when you have to. And some of it is training your body literally just to be upright all day. It gets hard to hold your arms up. Some of the things that are the most sore for me is my neck and my lats or the
Upper
shoulder
trap.
muscles that are just the traps that are trying to hold my muscles up all day. So you get surprising things. You got to learn how to take care of chafing and blisters in a way that you don't really have to in a half marathon or a marathon even.
I could imagine. Yes. Those are things that I think about during like summer runs when you're really sweaty. And I couldn't
Right.
imagine, you're getting that repeated kind of beating up of your body over and over again.
Yeah.
So this is,
Yeah. I thought blisters and chafing would be a huge problem, but we're working with two toms, which is like a body like slides type stuff. And
yep.
we're using that. I've managed to make it over 2,000 miles without any blisters, which I am so happy about because that would be just one more thing to have to deal with.
Nice. No, that's good advice because I know people are always trying to find like the best, anti-chafe kind of cream. So it's called Two Toms, you said?
Yeah, two toms. So, and it's great because you put it on, you don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. It never comes off with sweat. It only comes off with soap and water, and that's it. So it's been my favorite for a long time. So when we started to plan this, reached out to them, and they were more than happy to help supply us all the way across the country, which is a lot of two times.
That's awesome. Yeah. So on this podcast, Shan, we like to share tips just like that, which is great. And sometimes we'll talk about like, injury prevention type of things for runners, or like the common running injuries, or strength training for runners, nutrition for runners, all that kind of stuff. But then I also like to bring on great causes like yours, like what you're doing, kind of service-based things for charity, things that really our running community can get behind, and kind of use this podcast and this platform to help just spread the word. And I think from what I've seen on your website, and what I've followed you on social media, everything that you're doing is for an amazing cause. So I understand that you are running for Food Share. What is Food Share?
Yeah, thank you. So when I was thinking about doing this run, one of the first things I wanted to think about is it's a kind of thing that it's good news. It could get some publicity, and so how do we steer that publicity in a positive, useful direction? And I've been working with Food Share for the past couple of years, and so they were the immediate organization that came to mind. So Food Share is the food distribution organization for a large portion of Connecticut. So they distribute food to food pantries all over the state, all over the central part of the state. They're a part of Feeding America. You've probably seen them in the news because they're distributing food at Rensselaer Field, and that's because of the great demand that's happened because of COVID. So in addition to what they're normally doing, distributing food to food pantries, they've also had to get hundreds of volunteers and tons more food out to the whole community, because there's lots of us now that are out of work that we didn't expect to be out of work the first part of the year, and a lot of people are really struggling. I was able to volunteer there right before we left for the run, at Rensselaer Field, and it was amazing to see just the amount of people coming through, period, but also just the amount of people that are really needing assistance for the first time ever. So there's a lot of people that have never needed food that now do, and so it's really just incredibly critical, and something we want to point a spotlight out and raise money for. So the most important thing is they need money. They're in an extreme situation of need, and so we need people to step up that can afford to help out. So go to shanrunsacrossamerica.com, click on donate if you can. If you can't, that's fine too. Go out, volunteer. There's plenty of opportunities that way, or just share what we're doing, try to get it out as much as possible.
Absolutely. And that's really easy, guys. I actually did that right before we jumped on here on the live. It's very easy on the website. We'll drop that all at the end as well. And those listening on the podcast, that will definitely be within the show notes. I will give all the information that you can go ahead and donate toward Food Share. And I think you had mentioned also that Stop and Shop has been a great supporter and kind of sponsor of this project as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Stop and Shop's one of the biggest supporters of Food Share, and also of us. They supplied us with a huge amount of food, which is critical. I'm eating 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day, so like that's a pretty big grocery bill without their support. They're also going to be doing matching on Thursdays in November, so they're going to be donating, I believe it's $20 a mile on Thursdays in November. We're going to be doing some other promotions as we get closer to Connecticut. So definitely follow along there. And we're really hoping to amplify what we do with Stop and Shop and Food Share, and kind of bring it all together as we get closer to Connecticut and closer to Thanksgiving.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, we'll definitely talk about that a little later, I'm sure, because I know a lot of people who are, following us along in the Facebook group are from Connecticut. So I'm sure a lot of people will want to support you as you kind of bring it home here. So this journey across America, so you started in San Francisco, September 1st, and now you're in your last full day in Iowa, right? How long does it
Yep.
actually take to run across America?
Well, hopefully less than 3 months. When I started, I wasn't really sure what would be a sustainable amount of miles day in, day out. I had just picked a kind of I've run a lot of ultra marathons. I've run 200 miles at a time. So I've done a lot of things, but I didn't know what would be okay to do every day. Get up every day, run all day, do the logistics of trying to find out where we're going to stay that night, really couldn't have done this without having the crew chief Callie to help with food and moving the van and all that. So once we got going as a team for the first couple of weeks, it started to feel like 40 miles a day is a sustainable amount, and we've been doing that pretty successfully up to this point. We're over 2,000 miles in, so about 2/3 of the way.
Wow.
And we're a few days from Chicago. We've taken so far out of 55 days, we've had one rest day out of some friends in the Boulder area. Callie lives in Chicago, and I'm basically from the Chicago area. So when we get to Chicago, we're going to take 2 days. So our other 2 rest days. And then the idea is to go on from there, through Indiana and then Ohio and then Pennsylvania, a little bit of New York, and then into Connecticut. And the goal is to get to Connecticut around the Thanksgiving. So we're trying to, now that we're sort of getting, it's weird to say that 1,000 miles is the final stretch, but it feels a little bit that way. We've got a groove going, and I think we've, as long as nothing else comes up, which who knows, a lot of things could happen in 1,000 miles, but you asked the question, how long does it take? Hopefully less than 3 months. So we'll see.
All right. So that's the goal, right? Less than 3 months. Okay. And then, yeah, tell me a little bit about how did Callie get involved in this project?
So Callie and I have run together. We met at the end of last year and have run together some. And I actually initially conceived this run as something self-supported, because I didn't figure anybody would want to, come with me for 3, 4, 5 months. But as I told Callie about what I was planning, she, without me asking, immediately was like, I'm in. And I wouldn't even thought of asking her because she has a full-time job. So she's been driving the van, cooking, doing everything that you need outside of running. And she has a job in an ad agency full-time during the day. So uh, I couldn't have asked anybody to do that. And so she stepped up, and it's just been incredible. And other people have come out to help some, but it's mostly just us out in the middle of nowhere in America.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing journey. Like I've been following on social media, like I mentioned, and Callie will post like she's literally, driving 10 miles ahead, and then she'll work for a couple hours, wait for you to get there, and then to kind of like cook you lunch, get your meal ready, and then go ahead and drive out a little further, do work. So yeah, that's pretty amazing, honestly. And so for those of you who are here on the live, first off, Bonnie, thank you so much for joining. You guys, like, just type in Kelly rocks, honestly, into the comment box, because I don't know many people, honestly, Shan, who would do that, right? And kind of drop what they're doing at home for that many months. And that seems pretty amazing. So you're definitely lucky to have that support and that all of that support, honestly, that you need. I'm sure it makes it a lot
Yeah,
easier for
no,
you.
absolutely. It's a full-time thing for both of us. It's a completely enveloping expedition and process, and we're getting along so far. I told her she was going to regret it. But, but so far so good. We've made it, and yeah, it's amazing to find help from Kelly, and then also the people that are donating, that are helping with the cause. We've had just strangers once they find out what we're doing. So it's been a huge outpouring of support, but I absolutely couldn't have done it without Callie's support.
Yeah, so take me to that initial decision. I don't know if we covered that because
Mhm.
basically, I know you had mentioned that, events weren't happening, so you kind of weren't working. Was this something you've always like envisioned doing, running across America, or were you just like, hey, it's a pandemic and why not?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So I think a lot of ultra runners, uh, anybody who gets into running 100-mile races for fun, has thought about the idea of, could I possibly run across the continent? And there are others that have done it. It's a pretty rare thing. I think as far as running goes, it's like less than 500 people have run across the United States that's been recorded, so it's not a common thing. But I think it's something people imagine, because I don't know, it's kind of like climbing Everest or something like that. but I never thought I would actually have the time. So it was definitely a back burner, like in the dreams, in the cloud sort of dream. And then I lost my job, so I suddenly had a lot of time on my hands, and not really any prospect of my industry starting back up anytime soon. And so here we are. Within about a week of me realizing that I wasn't having any work, uh, I decided to do it, and then within 3 weeks, we were on the road. So it was a short amount of time. Fortunately, I own a camper van, which is what I'm sitting in right now, and that's how we make our way across. Is Callie's driving the camper van. We sleep in it most nights, and so I was fortunate to have the health and fitness to do it, just suddenly, and the means, modest means, with my van and my small amount of savings. So here we go.
Yeah, no, that's pretty amazing. I think a lot of runners honestly listen to this probably could relate, right? About, you know, how COVID changed you, right? And how we all stopped
Yeah.
and really paused, right? We actually like paused our lives, and it forced us to really think about, either things we want to do in our life or the things that we were doing in our life that we didn't really enjoy, and say what's important in our lives right now. I know for me, with I have two younger girls, and I was pretty much like here in my clinic hustling like every single night of the week, like not getting home till
Mhm.
like 10 p.m., basically not seeing them during the week until the weekends, and being home, during COVID when things kind of were in lockdown for a little bit. It was great to be able to spend that time with them. So I said to myself, when things come back, I'm going to make sure that I set this, carve some time out where like Wednesdays are family dinner night, and, just little things like that. I think a lot of more people have a little different perspective now on life and what we want to do to make sure that we live our best life, right? We only get one life. So like this is pretty amazing what you're
Yeah,
doing.
that seems the silver lining to come out of this tragedy. I was in February. I was 60 hours a week, completely full around the clock. Our consulting business was going well. It was my regular day job was going very well, but I was busy all the time. And so now it is nice to have some time, but I'm also trying to use this as a way to get some work. So, hopefully we could all sort of appreciate the things we have, and also the things we had, and the things that hopefully we get back to doing again someday soon.
Right. And honestly, you're taking this situation, right? So you did lose your job, you had a bunch of lemons thrown at you, and you're taking this and making some lemonade and then some, with this cause that you're really raising money for. And I think that's amazing, honestly, because you definitely wouldn't be able to have the time to do this, right? If you had your job. So like at the same point, you're, raising thousands of dollars to help people who are food insecure during this difficult time. So, kudos to you, honestly, and for doing what you're doing, because you could just be at home and going for your runs and just Netflix and chill, right? And just hanging out.
Yeah, I
But
figured that was the alternative, was to be sitting around scrolling through job wanted things without there being many jobs. Uh, so I am actively looking, and I'm hoping this is a nice resume builder. But at the same time, we might as well hit the road and do something positive.
there you go. Yes, absolutely. So just tell us about, for those who are actually wondering, um, if they would ever run across the country, what is the journey that you are taking to get across the country? Can you just share that, kind of which states you're
Yeah,
going through?
yeah. So a little bit on the logistics. So we started September 1st. Well, first off, drove all the way across the country from Connecticut to picked up Cali and Chicago. We took a few days to get out there. Went to GU headquarters in Berkeley, picked up a whole bunch of their products, and then started September 1st. Again, I'm going with an RV camper van, and then in the first few days, wasn't really sure how far per day we're going to go. My main concern was just being able to make it across the country in one piece, and I did want it to be a run where we're pushing the distance somewhat, but I also didn't want to push myself to breakdown. So we started off maybe 30 miles a day, 35, kind of crept up. until it felt comfortable. The route goes from San Francisco through the Central Valley in California. We went up through the Sierras, which was beautiful. Also a little terrifying because we have some problems with the van. The cooling fan is going out in the van, so climbing up over mountain passes has been really sketchy. But Callie's managed to make it over in one piece. And then we went down into Nevada, and Nevada in September is beautiful, great weather, empty skies at night, more mountainous than I'd realized. And then in through Utah for several days in Utah. My sister was able to come out and visit us up into Colorado, into the Rockies. Again, that was another big climb up to the Rockies. We went 40 miles a day for the entire month of September, in part to get up into and over the passes in the Rockies before there was too much snow. And we were fortunate to be able to get through there before there was too much snow. And then down into the eastern Colorado and Nebraska. We were in Nebraska through most of the corn harvest, and then now Iowa, and now we're at the cusp of Illinois. So our process is usually get up well before dawn, try to get going at first light. Callie will drive the van ahead, usually around 10 miles. We'll have breakfast, Callie will cook breakfast, another 10 miles, lunch, another 10 miles, quick snack, and then up to around 40 for the day. So running about 8 hours a day, give or take, with a few 20 to 30-minute breaks in between, with the idea to try to make it so that I'm not so sore and tired at the end of the day that I'm wrecked for the next day, but also go fast enough that I have enough time to recover in the afternoons and evenings. So today I think we ended around 4. And so, you know, if I really wanted to go, we could go farther if we had to, but my main goal is to make it across the country at good speed without falling apart. So it's a struggle every morning when I wake up. Takes me a few minutes to realize where I am and what we're doing and why to do it all over again. But we're getting there, and we've gotten used to it. And you know, with Callie's support, we'll be able to get up every morning and start over and do it again.
Yeah, and Lisa says that's so amazing. Bala says that, wow, that's amazing. If you guys just are jumping on the live right now, just type in live. Let me know you're here. And if you are catching the replay, just type in replay. So I know you did catch this. And yeah, that is amazing. Like, Shan, you are literally running more than really the majority of us listening to this run in a week. And you are doing it in a day. So are you running 7 days a week?
Yeah, every day except for one so far.
Holy cow.
Just and it's been amazing. I'm actually in better shape now, stronger now than I was when we started. I did get some injuries when we started. I got Achilles tendonitis in both legs. I got shin splints in both legs, some foot pain, things like that. But all of it's gotten better on its own. So it's amazing how the body can heal on the run, and a lot of that is just being able to rest enough. I'm horizontal about 9 hours a day, and eat enough to recover. I've lost a few pounds, but it hasn't been dramatic. And for other people that I've talked to that have done crossings, that was critical, is make sure you're able to eat enough and rest enough so that the body can recover. And it's about, you're close on the edge. You know, if I push it too much, I could start to tell that this could be bad, and this could be an injury that maybe won't heal itself. So it's really important to be able to understand what your body's going through, and if there's a little twinge on something, maybe walk for a quarter mile or half a mile or something, and, you know, start running on that next downhill, and take little breaks like that. But yeah, you have to be. I try to run as if I'm barefoot, even though I'm running with shoes that are, you know, got super thick soles on.
Okay. So you're trying to like, is that a different gait pattern than you would traditionally run, would you say?
Not too much. As I've gotten into ultra marathon running, and that was something I learned is to run on my soles, or mid soles.
Mm-hmm.
And I wear a lot of zero drop shoes, but it helps you kind of learn how to run again, pretend you're barefoot without actually being barefoot. So run like you're stepping on glass.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do about a 9-minute mile pace with that form. And But that took me years. When I got into ultra marathon running, I had injuries in every injury you could have. I had, especially tendonitis, especially Achilles tendonitis. So it took me a long time to finally be able to really learn to run gingerly enough that I haven't had a serious injury in several years now.
Wow, there's so many good points here, and I'm gonna just keep going with the questions. But those of you who are here in the live, like, drop any questions you have for Shan in the comment box, and we will ask him. So, a couple things I heard there, Shan, which is really good points because I think it reiterates a lot of the concepts that we talk about within our healthy runner community. One is that the body adapts. The body adapts to the demands that you place on it, and the fact that you did have Achilles tendonitis, you did have shin splints, and you literally didn't stop running. Like, you literally ran every day, basically close to 40 miles per day, and your pain did get better. So I actually just talked about this 2 episodes ago now on folks who do have running injuries, that you don't need to stop running necessarily, modifying and then kind of getting on the correct strategies. But you're like proof right there. And what you told me is you really didn't stop running. You you kept
Yeah,
plugging along, and your body did heal. So a lot of
yeah,
people who
it's
are listening to
amazing.
this.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I've been surprised at that. Even in training up to this, if the injury itself doesn't stop me from running or prevent my stride so bad that it's just, ridiculous, I found that for the most part you could train through the vast majority of injuries. But don't be stupid about it. If you have a stress fracture or something like that, there's some things you need to stop for. But things like tendonitis, sometimes you do need to stop, sometimes you don't. And so it's tricky, and that's why, you know some of us are getting into our 40s before we really figure it out. So it takes some trial and error and to be able to really feel it. But in this case, in this run, I would be going, even if I was with an injury that maybe was going to be serious for several months, I'd probably still be going. But I'm thankful that we've gotten this far, and I'm not in a ton of pain. I thought I would be in much worse shape than I am right now. So it's just shows how adaptable the human body is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully you got some wood to knock on in that camper there.
It's a really thin, cheap wood, but particle board maybe.
Yeah, I know. I think some great points there in terms of injuries, and it really reiterates what we did a deep dive in a couple of episodes ago. Because there are so many runners out there that sometimes feel like the littlest pain, and they're like, "Oh, I just need to rest. Let me stop running for a week, and then I'll try to run again." And then their pain comes back, and then it's like a never-ending cycle. So, finding out the strategies that work best for your body to heal, and it sounds like Shan has done that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Well, I know I'm on the extreme end uh, of that, go
yes.
until you drop attitude, but it works. You know, I think you do have to be in a certain amount of good physical fitness to be able to train through an injury. But the older I've gotten, the more I've just said, screw it. I'm just going to go until I need to go to the hospital. Unfortunately, I haven't had to go to the hospital yet.
Yeah, so I just want to give Rajesh is here on the live. Thanks for tuning in. Karen, thank you so much for tuning in. Jean says, just amazing. So much info and such a great cause. Indeed. Angela is here. Thank you so much for joining. And our friend, Coach Latoya, is here. So thanks for tuning in, Latoya. So let's get into the specifics. So you are 2/3 of the way through. So I want to know like some information that's been happening. So which one of the areas that you've run so far has been the toughest for you?
Toughest, toughest might have been Iowa. It's gotten cold over the past week or 2 weeks. We had snow for the first time. It's just been gray and windy and wet and high of 40, low of in the 20s.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and so that's made it harder, not so much for the running, because running when it's 30, 40 degrees is actually very comfortable, but just for getting up in the morning when you wake up and you could see your breath inside the van and all you've got is gray days and corn to look at. It is a little different than the desert can be hostile, but it's beautiful and there's no bugs. And so running in the West has been fantastic. Running in the Midwest has been a little bit challenging, but I'm from the Midwest, and so I try to appreciate it and see that there is beauty out here. But during harvest season, you can have some good days, you can have some bad days. So it gets monotonous, but we're getting through it, and yeah.
Yeah. So when it is monotonous, and I would imagine if there's like, and I've seen some of your pictures, which are amazing, by the way, um, the cornfields, and there's really not a whole lot to look at. So what do you do to mentally, honestly, get over any, you have to have mental hurdles, right? During this journey, like
Yeah,
you have to.
I have a few strategies. There are things like listening to podcasts and listening to audiobooks. I've been catching up a lot on my reading. That's one way. I also do meditation on the run, so mindfulness meditation, which helps a lot to be in a moment and to be aware of your thoughts and feelings, to remove yourself from suffering. It's natural to have that craving to not have pain, to get to the finish. But if you can be aware of your feelings and aware of your thoughts and be able to observe that from a different place besides, they say pain is inevitable and suffering is a choice. There's a lot of truth to that. So practicing that, which takes a lot of practice, it's not something that just happens. So it's kind of a combination of distraction in one hand, with music, podcasts, audiobooks, things like that, or sometimes people say going into the pain cave. It's not unlike that mindfulness meditation of just accepting the fact that you're going to be uncomfortable, you're going to be in pain, but not letting that become suffering. I kind of rotate back and forth throughout the day, and then there's pure joy of look what we're doing, and there's some bliss from time to time throughout the day. But it takes work. So it's much more of a mental game than it is a physical one. And the physical part, I know I'm going to be uncomfortable. I know I'm going to be in pain every day. Hopefully not to extremes, because it is such a long endeavor. But in order to make sure I don't go from pain to suffering, that it just takes being on top of it from a mental perspective.
No, great tips. And now, this episode is going to be actually number 40 of the Healthy Runner podcast. So you actually have 39 other episodes to catch up on. And you can't use the excuse that you don't have time, because I know you're going to have some time.
I know I got nothing but time, nothing but time.
Yeah. So which one of the areas that you've run in so far has been the most interesting, or like the most surprising? Maybe it like surprised you weren't expecting. Um,
Uh, as far as surprising goes, the country is much hillier and mountainous than you might think. um, Drive across country, which I've done 10 times. I've done several times. Um, it, Especially if you're driving on the freeway, you don't realize just how mountainous Nevada is, how mountainous Utah is. I mean, we went through 10,000-foot passes in both those states, and it's just constant up, down, up, down. But it's also beautiful. So the mountains are beautiful. So I wasn't upset to have to go through it, but occasionally I was surprised by it.
All right. Well, I did see, I think it was yesterday's post, some ridiculous like pork sandwich or something you had in Iowa.
Yeah,
right?
that's a giant tenderloin sandwich. I'm from the Indiana, so I thought everybody had those. But
Oh my
we, we came to this restaurant. Ellie's saw a picture from what they were serving. He's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's a pork tenderloin sandwich." So we had to eat one. It's how big? It's about the size of a large pizza,
Yeah, it was
but it's a
ridiculous
sandwich.
on like a bun. Like you saw this tiny like roll that is normally like a big roll compared to this piece of meat. I was like, what is that?
This is the
So
only time I could eat something like that.
what has been
Uh,
do you have a best food that you've tried that you never tried before?
I've gotten used to diner food. Is one thing. I, I'm normally when I'm doing this, am a salad, mostly vegetables. I do eat meat, but more occasionally. But during this trip, it has been a lot more meat because a lot more protein. It's difficult to get the dense amount of calories that you need. I think you probably could do something like this and be a vegan. It's certainly possible, but you just need so much protein to recover that it's become easier to. Normally stopping at a random diner in the country wouldn't have been appealing to me, but now you can get a lot of calories in a 4 egg omelet and buttered toast and pancakes. So giant tenderloin. They're not normal foods that I would gravitate towards, but they're easy to find out here and delicious if you've been running for 30 miles, 40 miles. So
Yeah, and it's a productive way, right, to refuel. So you don't waste away all the calories that you're burning. Is there any other way that you are fueling? Any other supplements or anything like that you're doing?
yeah, every day I'm using Goo Roctane recovery drink. So I've been using some of their products. Um, and then Callie's just been great about mixing things up and having a protein, having good fats like avocados, and we were just eating protein, the protein filled dish with salmon in it and a little bit of vegetables. So I'm fortunate that I have a good cook, somebody that's been on top of things, so I could just run and eat. It's been amazing.
Wow, I think we all need a Cali in our lives. um, so you talked about kind of this journey across America that you're on. Has there been anyone else who has run with you during this journey? Like, has anyone heard about it in like some of the local areas and kind of you're like Forrest Gump and people just like jump in and run some miles with you?
Yeah, for sure. So lots of friends have come out. Lots of people I didn't know have come out for a few miles that just saw what we're doing, either on social or things like this. And we're easy to find. You go to shanrunsacrossamerica.com. We have a spot tracker that's live all the time. I also am updating Strava every day. There's a million ways you can contact us and come out. We're always looking for a place to park the van at night. So we're about ready to drive through the middle of Illinois and Indiana and things like that. So if you're less than an hour away from our route and can just give us a place to park, that's always appreciated. Or just come out and say hi. A common thing that happens to us is the van's parked at a weird place in the side of the road, waiting for me. Somebody, either a police car comes down, wonders why we're parked there, or somebody calls in. The local sheriff or state troopers or whatever find out what we're doing, then they'll call ahead, and then suddenly everybody that's a county vehicle knows what we're doing. So I'll get a lot of honks when that happens, and a lot of hey, run for it runs and things like that. So you start to find out people. Word gets out what you're doing. And like I said, love to have, if you want to join for a few miles, come out and do it, whatever. So anything to get the word
Nice.
out, anything to help get more donations.
Yeah. So if you guys are listening and you live in, let's see, you're going through Indiana, you're going to be going through Illinois,
Yep,
Indiana,
Northern
and I think
Illinois.
Ohio.
Yep, Northern Illinois. northern Indiana. We'll end up running through Cleveland and then through all of Pennsylvania, cut through New York on the way to Food Share, which is near Hartford, and then onto the coast from there.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, hopefully we get some people that keep you company along the way. So I know you mentioned the importance for you, and the key, it seems like, that has led to your success thus far has been kind of this recovery and resting. So how are you exactly doing that?
Well, every time when the run is done for the day, it's have a recovery shake, maybe drink a beer, uh, and then try to eat a huge dinner that's high on protein and fat, and then get to sleep. Honestly, it's almost my bedtime. It's 7:45. So, so and try to sleep. The sun right now is coming up around 7, so I'm trying to be in bed between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning. So that's a lot. That's much more than I would in my quote unquote normal life, as far as being in bed and being down. So just I'm not asleep that whole time, but I'm at least laying down with a lot of food in my stomach that's helping recover for the next day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Recovery, rest, very important, especially with what you're doing from a physical standpoint. So, kind of personal question here. So, you've been traveling with Callie here. She's been your support team. What have you learned about her, or what has been one surprising thing she's learned about you that you guys don't mind sharing on the podcast?
Do you have any surprising things you'd like to share? She says no. I think that's a no comment from both of us.
Hey, the fact that you guys have tolerated each other this long,
We
right?
haven't we haven't have been screaming and yelling at each other, so there's one thing. We'll have to
That's a
see how it
good
goes.
thing.
We still got a long ways to go, so don't jinx it.
All right, so we're coming down to actually the final stretch here, Shan. So if you could change one thing about the misconception of ultra running, or honestly, you can even answer this from like fighting the fight against hunger standpoint, what would that be?
You know, I learned one of the reasons why we chose food share as charities. I learned something with working with Stop and Shop at the beginning of all this, when everything was going crazy with supply chains and everybody was running to the grocery store. Grocery stores this year have been, everybody shopping. Nobody's going out to eat or not going to eat as much, and the grocery stores have been crazy busy. And normally, the actual food that Food Share and other similar organizations get are donations of excess food from the grocery store. Well, suddenly the grocery stores don't have the excess food to give. So that's a huge amount of food that would normally be being redistributed. Not only is there greater need because there's so many more people that need support, but there's less donations because the, those the grocery stores are giving way more than you'll ever generate from like your local food drive or whatever. And primarily, the grocery stores are supplying that donated food. So what the food organizations like Food Share need isn't canned donations. They need money so that they can go out and get food on the open market. So that was something I once I learned about it, it was kind of an aha moment. Like they're getting hit on both sides. There's 30% greater need. There's less of the ability for the grocery stores to supplement with excess food that would, if we didn't give it to food distribution panels, they'd be thrown out because we have a fairly inefficient food system. That's all just being exacerbated. So it was something that opened my eyes, and just kind of really elaborated that we need to point a spotlight at it. It was surprising, but now it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either. So thank you for bringing that up. So we got a couple of questions here. So Sundar's here on the live. Sundar says, "Hey Shan," and Lisa wants to know where's the official finish line.
Good question. I don't think we know exactly. There's a couple things we're looking at. We'll probably announce that in the next week or two when we
Okay.
have a better idea of exactly when we'll get to Connecticut. But on the coast somewhere, and I'm definitely jumping into the Atlantic. I don't care how cold it is. So if anybody wants to jump in with me, we'll be doing it somewhere. So, we all right. Callie's not jumping in. I'm jumping in. And I've had other people that say they want to come with, so we'll make a thing about it, hopefully. But good question. We're thinking Old Saybrook was one place that was mentioned, but I don't know for sure. We'll try to let you know soon.
Okay. Yeah, no, keep us informed, definitely. I'm sure there are many healthy runners who would love to meet up with you. I know I want to definitely meet up once you hit Connecticut.
All
I'll
right,
run
you
some
want to jump
miles
into the
with you.
Atlantic in November?
um,
Maybe.
so what, what's that?
Do you want to jump in the Atlantic in November with me?
No, I'm good. I'm good with the
Oh, I can't
Atlantic.
get you to commit.
I'm sure. See, I'm not a trail runner. Some of your trail runner friends, they'll jump in the Atlantic with you, I'm sure. um, so Sundar wanted to know how you're taking care of yourself and how many hours of sleep do you get. So we did just kind of cover that a little bit, Sundar. So essentially you're getting a good like 9 to 10 hours of sleep a night, you would say?
Yeah, and that's about all I do. I don't roll. I don't really stretch very much. No ice baths. All of that saves time so that I could just eat, just rest. That is literally all that I personally do as far as taking care of myself.
Nice, nice. And Kath's here on the live. Thanks so much for tuning in, Kath. And Lisa says that she's going to join you. She said she'll swim. She'll swim in the
Sweet.
Atlantic.
Thanks, Lisa.
Nice. So we're kind of getting to the end here, Shan. So those who jumped on here on the live and Facebook, if you guys, this will help get Shan's cause out to more people. If you hit that like, hit the love button, that will just help more people see this amazing journey that Shan's on, honestly, and be able to help his cause. And if you are watching this on our Spark You Training YouTube channel, first off, thank you so much. Share the link. Share the link with a friend of yours who can really help out Food Share, help out some people who really need the help during this difficult time, as well as if you're listening on the podcast, then copy the link, share the episode with someone who needs to listen to this during their next run. And then we're going to get to the last comment here before we go. Bonnie says that you will need to write a book when you're finished with this journey.
Yeah, we'll see. That sounds as daunting as running across the country.
It might be easier to run across the country, right, than write a book. Yeah. So, Shan, thank you so much, honestly, for taking the time. I know you got to get to bed. You got to work
Yes.
on that recovery and rest. Anything else you like to share that we didn't cover before you go?
No, this has been great. Thank you. Thanks, Dwayne, for all of it, and hopefully I'll see you and everybody else in a month or so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for, coming on and sharing this story. I think it'll help, number one, honestly, motivate some runners. So I've had a bunch of people join the Healthy Runner group today. One of the questions was, how do runners stay motivated? Like hearing stories like yours, it's like, this guy's literally running every day, like more than I run in a week. Like, how am I going to complain about going out of my house tomorrow at 5:30 to run my 4 miles, right? Like, I'm just going to be thinking about you out there on the road and be like, okay, I could run these 4 miles.
Yeah.
So, keeping folks motivated, then honestly, the cause is what it's all about. So, especially during this time of the year, during a pandemic, thank you for shedding light on the need that we have throughout the country, and then especially here locally in Connecticut. So, you're doing a great thing. We want to raise a lot of money for this cause and be able to help people out. And honestly, even some of the stats, like just go to Shan's website. Again, what is the website again?
ShanRunsAcrossAmerica.com.
ShanRunsAcrossAmerica.com. Very easy to navigate. You can donate right there. You can check out like some of the stats I was reading. I think it said something like 118,000 people just in the Hartford area are food insecure. I was like, holy cow, that many people? Like I had no clue. like literally in my state, in my backyard. So there's some great stuff on the website. Make sure you check it out. Follow his journey on his website. Like he said, also on social, on Instagram, Facebook. They post some great pictures. So follow Shan's journey. We're going to be rooting for you. We're going to be ready for you when you come back to Connecticut, give you a nice welcome home greeting. And thank you for everyone who tuned into the live, honestly. And if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching this replay. Or if you watched it on the Spark Your Training YouTube channel or on the Healthy Runner podcast, remember every Monday night at 8 p.m., we go live within the Healthy Runner Facebook group. So keep us in mind in your schedule so you can get your running questions answered. So thanks again, Shan.
Thank
Appreciate the time. All right, guys. Thanks again. Remember, stay active, stay healthy. And as Shan is doing, just keep running. Until next time, guys. Bye.